What's up, Modern Yeah from flipnormals.com, and in this tutorial we're going to take a look at probably one of the most powerful plugins inside of Zbrush, and that is Decimation Master. Zbrush has so many of these magical things. Master, subtool, master. I really like master. But Decimation Master is pretty amazing. For those of you who haven't used it before, Decimation Master simply allows you to take a very, very high dense mesh with a really high poly count and simply just reduce the amount of polys in the mesh, but while retaining sort of the detail of the mesh. And Decimation Master is phenomenal at keeping the details. And there are a few options to go over, but it's a relatively simple process. And for the people who really don't care about topology and just want to get something out for a quick render, this is really the way to go. I mean, you could use something like displacement maps as well, but it just takes way longer. I mean, this is my preferred method. I usually just decimate my models and then just get them into Maya. Like, so this mesh that I have in here is, I mean, it's not particularly high. It's not like a high density mesh. It's less than 415,000 points, right? So not too bad. It's definitely not like above 1 million or anything. But pulling this into Maya would probably still be quite a bit of hassle. So what you want to do is you want to go to plugins, Z plugins, just dock it over and scroll down, and you'll find Decimation Master. And it's really straightforward. You have three options to go through. So the first option is freezing the borders and keeping the UVs. If you have any sort of texturing done for your model, make sure you keep the UVs, because otherwise they'll just be completely destroyed as well. The freezing borders option is only relevant if your mesh has any open like holes in it or anything. If it does and you freeze the borders, the decimation won't touch those, or it'll try to preserve the edges where they are. And if you don't use this option, it'll just sort of decimate everything along with it. So just make sure you keep this in mind. The next thing you want to do is you want to pre-process your tool. Now you can either do this per subtool basis, or you can pre-process all your subtools at once. This is really up to like what you need for your project. So for this one, I'm just gonna go with pre-process current. Alright, so what's happening here is it basically caches out the geometry onto your hard drive or onto the disk, which means that when we start decimating, we can dynamically, well, sort of dynamically change it. This means that we can just sort of like play around with the level of decimation. So the default decimation is 20%, and generally if you decimate something down to 20%, you're not going to notice any difference at all. So right now, if we press Shift F to look at the wireframe, you can see this is the density and this is from Dynamesh. And if we decimate this tool, see there, now it's been decimated. And it's really done a great job at actually preserving all of the detail. So let's just see here. If we take it down to 10%, decimate it again, hardly any difference. I mean, it also depends on, you know, how close you want to get to your model, because if we go really close, we can see, you know, his face is completely messed up. It was also pretty messed up before, but now it's even more messed up. And especially for those of you with like really high poly meshes, it's really, usually I go maybe not for a mesh like this, which is already like pretty low, but usually I would go down to something like 2 to 5%. I mean, going down to 2% of this, you can see it gives you an estimate of what it'll get. So it's like 16K here, which isn't fantastic for this mesh. But and again, it's really dependent on like the density of your mesh. Once this is done, you have the decimation that you want. You just export all your subtools, or just the current subtool, and that's really it. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.